So this is What's Up in Minnesota. Again, so we're talking from May 10th, the date of our last meeting, through yesterday. So we're starting off with updates. So these are cases that I've shown you in the past, and now and they weren't closed at that time. Now they are closed. So I'm going to kind of go through them a little bit faster because we've seen them before, but it's the conclusion that we're really concerned about in these. So we're going to start off with case number 142007-U. Took place on 4/25 of this year at 10 p.m. A circle was seen in Carver County. I've been seeing these formations moving at least 10,000 miles per hour for the last 2 weeks, going through the same spot. Bill Anding was working on this one. It was in progress. Now it's closed. And so Bill, of the 5 that we're going to see, Bill's investigated, I think, 4 of them. And the reason he's investigated 4 of them is because it's the same witness for all 4 of them. So, and that happens sometimes too, because a witness will see something, and it's like they might see something on one night, or they might see it in multiple nights, and their question is, well, do I submit these as separate reports? Do I submit it as the same report? How do I do that? And sometimes it's a little bit of guesswork, which is the best way to go. But this witness has submitted several reports, and usually when that happens, when a witness submits several reports in a short period of time, we usually give it to the same field investigator, so they're not getting called by all these different people, getting asked these different questions. We got to build the relationship, build some familiarity, build some trust. So Bill is actually doing, I think, 4 of the 5 that we're going to be looking at today. So he completed this one. He called it an unknown other. So an unknown other. So I'm going to tell you the definition of that. Well, actually, I'll read his findings first. So this is an ongoing situation where on any given evening, the witness observes unknown objects while using night vision equipment. I believe that he believes he sees them, but I'm at a loss to explain what they are. Possibly artifacts in the equipment. That means there could be something in the vision itself where it's like reflecting or sparking or something like that. Or insects that may be more visible at a longer range. Using such equipment, I'm planning to do a deep dive into night vision optics to help me form a more informed conclusion. At this time, I determined this is a report along with his others are unknown other dispositions. So it's funny because if you're not familiar with the MUFON, you might just think, oh, it's either open or closed. It's either UFO or not UFO. We actually have lots of different dispositions. So MUFON defines an unknown other as category that should be used for an unknown object. So usually we consider an orb as not an object. So it's different from an orb. That doesn't appear to be any type of aerial vehicle. Examples could be orbs. Well, now it says would be orbs. Odd moving lights near the ground. Strange floating objects. Oh yeah, because it's an other. Because an other is not an object. So strange floating objects. A strange opening in the sky, etc. So that's how we define an unknown other. So case number 142139-U took place on May 3rd of this year at 9:42 p.m. out in Richfield. And Steve Hero and Mark Toffel were working on this one. And the thing about this, Steve Hero has been a field investigator for us for a long time. And he does a really good job. And when Steve gets on a case, he is on it. He does a really good job. He is very, very thorough, very conclusive. He gets cases done. And Mark Toffel is a brand new field investigator of ours. And I worked, you'll see on one of the newer cases, I worked with him a little bit on that. He has got, I don't remember if he's got a military background or not, but he did obviously the field investigator test and passed it. He seems to just have a really, really good mind for the whole situation. He has a way of viewing everything, and he's a good way of looking at how would I investigate this, what would I look for, what would make sense. So he's very, very, the investigation process seemed to come very naturally to him. So I feel very optimistic having him on board for us. So Steve and Mark investigated this one together, and they found a completed IFO. So IFO is a natural phenomenon. IFO is identified flying object. So I don't have the definition, but IFO, natural phenomenon, because IFOs could be natural, they could also be man-made. So those are 2 different things. So, but the IFO, natural phenomenon, the field investigator said, is my opinion based on the weather at the time, the location, and the witness testimony and evidence that was observed as an atmospheric optical condition called a fata morgana due to a thermal inversion layer in the sky above them, which formed an atmospheric duct which refracted the moonlight. So Mark is pretty thorough, and he seems like he's got a really good scientific mind. And so we want to thank Mark and Steve for that. They're doing a fantastic job. So thank you guys. We certainly appreciate that. So case number, that's okay. That's why. Okay, there's that. So case number 142141-U took place on May 3rd. So again, it's Bill Anding. So it's the same witness from the previous one. Again, I have over 80 videos of last night. He didn't submit us all 80 videos, or he submitted a handful, but not all 80. Skies were literally full last night. I need serious help here. Can't keep up with what's happening here. And when something's happening regularly night after night after night in that high volume, I always want to suspect that there's something human or going on, because when it's regular like that, UFOs sometimes are regular for a few days, but not ongoing, or they're just not regular at all. They don't have that consistency. So when we get those where it's happening consistently, I always kind of go, there's something natural or human that is causing this. So Bill had looked at that one. Again, he calls it an unknown other. As with the other cases listed above, I determined the disposition to be unknown other. So that's again the same witness reporting multiple sightings. So, and again, 142-143-U took place on May 3rd. It's the same date. Again, in Victoria County, Bill Anding is working, same witness. I witnessed at least 1,000 UFO craft last night. These objects were all over the skies last night. I was also seeing and recording orbs in deep space flashing at me. I need help here, please. So again, the same witness, same field investigator. Bill took a look at that one, and he came up with complete, again, disposition unknown other. So yet another from the previous witness, see reports listed above. Conclusion is disposition unknown other. So, and case number 142156-U took place again on May 4th, so the next day at 10 p.m. in Victoria and Carver County. It was closer to me and checking me out. These objects are attached to me, I think. Bill Anding was investigating it, and he said he completed this one. Again, unknown other. As with the above cases, my conclusion is unknown other for disposition. So we can look into what happens with the night vision and stuff. There may be something there, but just the frequency makes me kind of wonder, you know. And that's the thing too, when you got night vision, nothing wrong with night vision, but you're not seeing it with your eyes. So that's always, whenever you've got something that's kind of between you and the object of the event, you always got to wonder what is happening there, what's changing between the event and the witness. So not to say that night vision goggles wouldn't be applicable, just, you know, it always, you know, there's always something to question. Even a regular camera, there's things that can happen, artifacts with regular cameras that can throw us off. So that is our updates for this month. So like I said, we got 2 new cases. So our overview of new cases. So we got 2 of them. Date range, again, the 10th of last month through yesterday was a submission range. The dates of the sightings was 5/11 through 5/22. So the 2 dates of the sightings, none of them were cases of interest. And a case of interest is where when a case gets submitted to MUFON, it goes to MUFON Global before it comes to the chapters. And MUFON Global takes a look at it. And if they look at it and go, hey, this might actually be an extraterrestrial, they'll mark it as a case of interest. So when it comes to the states go, okay, we really need to look close at this one because Global thinks there may be some extraterrestrial origin. And didn't have any of this month. ERT cases, I already explained to you what an ERT case is. So neither of these are ERT cases. And so the ERT cases, there's a much longer kind of a survey they fill out, and it's not really considered a typical case. And when we do get ERT cases in, I can reflect them on this screen, but I can't show you any details about them because we have a higher level of security and anonymity for the ERT cases because the witnesses really want to be protected. Not that we're revealing anything in the regular cases, but ERT cases we even say less about. So, but neither of these are ERT cases. One was a circle, one was a sphere. One was, so the valet classifications was one FB1 and one MA. So valet classifications, I'm guessing most people have heard of Project Blue Book, the Air Force of Project Blue Book. So Project Blue Book was J. Allen Hynek, and his assistant was Jacques Vallée. So as they were investigating cases for the Air Force, as you gather information scientifically, you begin to put them in categories and what's similar, what's dissimilar. And they came up with 4 different classifications. And for each of those classifications, they have the 5 different levels. So they've got FB stands for flyby, and I'll tell you what FB1 is. And the next category they have is a NA or AN. AN stands for anomaly. And then there's also an MA. We've got MA1. MA stands for maneuver. And then we've also got CE. CE is close encounter. If you heard of close encounter of the third kind, that's where that name of that movie came from, was the work that J. Allen Hynek and Jacques Vallée did. So MUFON defines an FB1 or flyby of the first kind. It's a simple sighting of a UFO flying by in the sky. This is the category most frequently reported. Then the other one's an MA1, so a maneuver of the first kind. And MUFON defines a maneuver of the first kind. It gathers those UFO observations that involve an object with a discontinuous trajectory, such as a drop, a maneuver, or a loop. So it's not just a straight line, something, it's doing some type of maneuver. So we had 1 flyby reported, 1 MA reported. We've got 1 photo and 1 video. So we'll show you the video. The video, it's not exciting, but like I said, I always try to be as transparent as I can with you, show you everything that I can. So we'll look at both cases. We'll show you the picture and the video of both the cases that we got today. So let's jump right in. And so first case is case number 142253-U. Took place on May 11th of this year at 9:26 p.m. A sphere was seen, MA1, so this is the maneuver of the first kind in Grand Rapids. The short description, this is what the short description the witness puts in. All they said is bright light, moving fast, no sound. So their detailed description, because the short description, they're only allowed so many characters. The detailed description, they're allowed like lots of characters. And some people put in lots and some people put in very little. This is the entire thing that the witness put in. Bright white orb moving east to west or west to east. No sound, bigger than stars and planets. So that's all he put in. So I investigated this again with Mark Toffel. And again, Mark is just really, he gets it. I talked with Mark before he really talked to the witness on this case. We talked about a few things that kind of got where he wanted to go with it, what his approach was. He really had a good mind for this. I gave him some tips and pointers on his witness interview, and he incorporated them. When we get into the completed part, we'll talk a little bit about that. But so Mark did the bulk of the investigating on this one. He did the witness interview and all that stuff. So he completed it already. So we won't see this one again because this one's complete now. So let's take a look at how Mark completed this one out. So completed as an IFO man-made object. So Mark said, I've gone back and forth on this, and he did, because at first he thought it was unknown UAP, which is unknown aerial phenomenon. So or a quote unquote UFO. The video is great evidence, but the discussion with the witness totally changed my mind for a while. And that's the witness interview is so important. Usually we can get a witness interview. Sometimes they don't want to talk to us, but if we can get that witness interview, like I said, the drawings really paint the picture. So does the witness interview. It really helps fill out get the feel of what was actually happening there. He says, at first I was really assumed that it was the International Space Station, but they swore they had seen that earlier. They said that the timestamp on the video proves that it could not have been the ISS. Anna Moss, she's another field investigator. She's also the North Dakota State Director, analyzed the video with EXIF, which is some of the data that records when and where the video is taken, and found that the creation time was, in fact, at the same time as the ISS going over. So even though he didn't think it was, we had stuff in the video, the background that was saying it was at this date and time. So the shape in the video does appear to be spherical or orb-like. That could be from Rayleigh scattering. As you see, it passes by Mars, so you'll see that in the video. You'll see the moving orb and the stationary orb. Stationary orb is Mars. It does appear to be much larger in diameter. It is reflecting sunlight 43 minutes after sunset. So sunset up in Grand Rapids was at 8:55 p.m. with the timestamp was at 9:38. Then it is very high and moving very fast. If it is not high enough to reflect light, then it would have had to have been luminescent, and there was no position lights. You know, like on the planes, they've got position lights on different spots. Radar does not indicate any aircraft with transponders in the area, but the 2 Air Canada flights might have been something, but the continued stigma of reporting sightings will prevent corroboration. Witnesses say the object was moving east-southeast towards Duluth, but the jet stream and the lower level wind from the south or south-southwest that night, so I don't think it was a balloon. So we've got the video on that, so let's take a look at the video of that. Okay, now we're starting it. So that's Mars up there. No, that's the object, because Mars shows up in a few seconds. Yep. So that's the object. Mars will be here in a second on the left. So there's Mars there. So that is the video. If you want to hit the lights again. And the interesting thing about this video is, in my perspective, it's a video submitted to Minnesota MUFON. It's one of the rare videos that we get where the witness is not dropping F-bombs through the whole video. We usually get videos and like, mother, oh, F, so I was like, no F, I hear the witness talking, but no F-bombs. So that's kind of a unique thing. So, all right, let's go back to the slides. Yeah, it did look like it was flashing a little bit, yeah. But that could be any number of things. Yes, has weapon computer program. No, any like digital cameras and digital videos, they'll all have like metadata in there. If you got a camera on your phone, if you look, you can find there's other data in there. And some cameras have very little metadata. Some have lots and lots of metadata. It depends on timestamp, and it could be could have like focal length and could have all those other things. If you had filters on it, could be a lot of different stuff in there. So, all right. So that's 125. So our last case, and it's actually we're doing good time wise because we want to wrap up around 3. So, oh, okay, yeah. Okay, so that's oh yeah. So case number 142245-U took place on May 22nd at 10:20 p.m. A circle was seen, FB1 in Maple Grove, so flyby of the first kind. They said watched object flyby overhead from northwest, flying straight southeast, silent, no flashing lights. Took a photo, cropped it after zooming in. So then there's a whole detailed description. This is everything they put in. Was on a phone with a friend when this flew overhead. Tried taking video but was on a call. Snapped 2 photos but only one is there. It moved slowly across the sky and faded out. Another object appeared smaller or higher up, flew from south to north direction. Preston Mackey. Preston has been a long-time field investigator for a long time, so it's been assigned to him. He hasn't completed it yet, but yeah, so he'll be working on it. When this one's completed, we'll show you what his conclusion was, but we do have the photograph that the witness submitted. So this is the photograph. So it's interesting. And at night, a lot of the photos like this are at night. You've got a black background and just a dot or a ball. And there's not always a lot we can tell with that. Sometimes we'll be lucky and we'll get like maybe some trees or a house or something, but this is just one of those dots in the sky. Although this one is more than just a dot, it does seem to kind of have some sort of, you see some differentiation or variation in there. And it's hard to say because like someone said, was it flashing? A lot of times when you've got like a dark screen and just a bright light, sometimes it'll look like it's pulsing or flashing, and it's not really pulsing or flashing. It's the camera is trying to focus in on what it's seeing there. So it's zooming in and zooming out, and it gives you that flashing and pulsing effect. So sometimes it's really hard to tell unless you're seeing with your naked eye what's actually happening there. So that is what's going on with that one. Preston is investigating it. When he comes to his conclusion, which will probably be by next month, I would guess, we'll show you what Preston determines on that one. So, and that's what's up in Minnesota. So thank you all, everybody. So it's just